Hello lovelies, and welcome to my channel. My name is Adora, and good morning depending on where you're watching me from. Permits me to say I have a husky voice this morning. It's kind of coarse because of the cold, so I'm just trying to take this to soften it a little bit. Okay, on this channel I talk about issues concerning living, especially in the UK because that's where I live. So I try as much as possible to talk about issues that concern we, especially that reside in the United Kingdom. Some days back, I was just browsing the internet and I came across this article which talked about the number of people, or rather, how people are quitting their jobs in the United Kingdom. And I was not really shocked because somehow I just knew within me it was going to get to us. You know, last year it was all over the news about the Great Resignation in the United States and how people were leaving their jobs due to different reasons, how people were quitting for due to maybe issues like lack of pay, not being comfortable with their workplace, and due to various reasons. And I am not going to say I didn't see this coming to the United Kingdom. I won't say that because I saw this particular post. I wasn't shocked a bit to see it coming. And I am not surprised people are beginning to complain. People are beginning to talk out. People are beginning to speak out because I will say it's high time issues like these are being discussed. Anyway, I have 7 reasons here why a lot of people are quitting their jobs in the United Kingdom. First of all, we also what happened during the lockdown. I mean, the first lockdown, the second lockdown, and like the UK, where we also had, I think, a third lockdown. We all saw that it was not really, in fact, I think that was an eye-opening moment. The lockdown was an eye-opening moment. And due to the fact that some people had the opportunity to work from home. This has never really happened in the past before. There are jobs where you can actually work from home, but it was not as common as what we saw during the lockdown where a whole lot of people were being asked to work from home. Now imagine the comfort that comes with working from home. You are working at the same, it might even be at a reduced pace compared to when you're working in the office, and when it's like you're being choked up with the work. Your boss is just like, is almost like standing behind you monitoring what you're doing. But here you are working from home in the comfort of your home. And for those of us that like have families, that have kids, now you now have the opportunity to work, and you are working within the environment where your children are, where your family reside. It's like using one stone to kill two birds, because you're working and you still have time for the family. So it's like nothing is actually missing. Nothing is, you are not really losing so much. So a lot of people saw this comfort in working from home, and people were amazed and were like, wow, so you mean I can actually combine both activities, both working and caring for the family at the same time, and I'm still being paid? And it's like nothing, not much of a loss. You're still doing the job you are employed for. You're still doing the work you have been called to do, and at the same time you're still having time for your family. People saw this and were like, wow, so this is actually real, this is actually possible. They enjoyed it. And now the lockdown is over, the whole thing is gone, and asking people to go back to the offices, a lot of people are like, no way in the world am I going to trade this comfort for anything. If I can work from home and achieve the same results, why do I have to get back to the office? And then for those offices, those companies that are insisting their staff comes back to the office, people are even beginning to say, no, you know what? If I have to get back to the office, then I just rather leave, because I enjoy my time, spending my time with my children, at the same time going to work, at the same time doing what I'm paid to do. So some people are able to combine these two effortlessly, and they see no reason why they must do it in the office if they can do it at home and still achieve the same results. So some people are saying, well, if you are going to insist that we get back to work or get back to the company or to the office physically, then I'd rather sit at home and spend time with my children. The second reason is low wages. This is one very, very big aspect that is of a great concern. Some of the jobs we do here are like, if you kind of compare what you receive, in accordance to what you do, it's nowhere to it's nothing to write home about. Like, the jobs are just too stressful, too strenuous for the amount of money you are being paid. Some people are just beginning to see this from a different perspective. Like, why would I have to stress myself? Why would I have to do all this amount of job and just be paid peanuts? Why would I have to go through all this? So people are beginning to weigh the pros and cons of actually, is it really necessary? Is there something else I can do? I can still make money than going to work for someone. You know what happened? Some weeks back, I went to work, and at work, I was talking to some of my colleagues, and I decided to take a mini survey. I was asking questions. I was like, are you enjoying work? Like, how are you seeing it? Do you really enjoy coming to work and all that? Like, just general questions about, about work and what they think about it. And out of about 7 people I asked, only 2 people felt indifferent about it. They were like, well, what will I do? What will I do? But the remaining 5 said, no, no, no. I'm not enjoying the job because of this. They gave different reasons. And then it began to to kind of sink into me that, wow, a lot of people are actually in the same shoes. Maybe they've not really seen an opportunity or an avenue to speak out or to interact where they would know that they have a common thing in mind. But a lot of people are actually going through the same thing when it comes to their having a lack of interest in their jobs or working generally. They are really beginning to lose interest in it, because one of the motivating factors, let's be very honest, forget about whether we have passion for the job or not, or whether it's your dream career or whatever. One of the motivating factors of moving out from your house in the morning to go to work is the pay, is the money, is the salary. If you are well paid, like, who wouldn't want to go to work? Even if it's a shitty job, as long as you're well paid, the money motivates you to leave the house. The salary is something that will kind of ginger you, like, I have to go to work. By the time you remember how much you're going to be paid at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I just have to get to work. But even if you're doing a very fantastic job, a very cool job, like we might want to call it, and at the end of the day, you're not being paid what you think you are worth, it kind of dampens your morale. You are not like seeing yourself trying to go to work every time, because at the end of the day, you're asking yourself, what's all this stressful? I will leave the house and I'll come back, and what do I even have to achieve at the end of the day? Like, what's coming into my account? And even when you're paid, with all the taxes that goes out, with all the levies, with all the expenses, what is left for you? So these are some of the questions people actually ask before they even start venturing in things like, am I interested in the job? Do I want to remain in the job? And before you know it, people start losing interest and start quitting their jobs. So shitty pay, the low salaries is a very, very, very big determining factor when it comes to whether people have interest in the jobs or not. The next one is something I can't even wrap my head around. Like, sometimes it's very hard to imagine somebody will actually work like this. And I'm talking about the silly long hours. You see people working 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day in certain industries. And I ask myself, for Christ's sake, even can a robot actually work this long without getting tired, without breaking down? Because sometimes it's so scary when you decide to leave the house in the morning and say, oh, I have a 12-hour shift today, I have a 14-hour shift today, and that 14 hours, you're calculating it. It's like leaving your house 8 o'clock in the morning and you're coming back 10 o'clock in the night. Like, I don't just get how these things work. Like, sometimes it's a bit scary. I understand the fact that a lot of industries, some industries, especially the healthcare industries, they are very, very used to these long hours. So sometimes, even if you decide to do like half day, half of the day, if you're doing 12 hours a day and you decide to do, okay, let me just do 6 hours. By the time you calculate the pay, you're like, it's not really enough. So let me just make it a long day so that I can, it will be worth the while. And you decide to make it 12 hours or you decide to make it 14 hours. People are getting burnt out from these long, silly work hours. People are getting mentally depressed. People are getting emotionally tired. People are getting psychologically deflated. You cannot just imagine what people go through whenever they go to work at such long hours, they come back tired, and maybe the next day they have to go again. And maybe sometimes people do this like 3 times, 4 times a week. And I'm talking about doing it back to back. Like Monday, you go your 12 hours, you come back. Tuesday, 12 hours, you come back. Wednesday, 12 hours, you come back. Thursday, 12 hours, you come back. For Christ's sake, you will definitely have a meltdown. There is no magic about this. It's not, there is no science that will explain to me or that will tell me that you do all these long hours, bumper to bumper, and you won't break down. It's not possible, because at the end of the day, you are dealing with your body. You are dealing with, apart from dealing with your physical body, you're dealing with your mental health. You're dealing with mental health that comes with depression. Sometimes you go into work and you're thinking, God, I don't feel like going to work, but what will I do? I just need this money. I have to go out. I just need this money. I need to go to work. And at the end of the day, you are forcing yourself to do something you would definitely not have wanted to do. But because you have no choice, you have to go to work. So these silly long hours are things I really don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's some kind of unbelievable to hear. Before I started working, when I heard that people used to do 12 hours, 14 hours, I used to be like, what? That's a long time. But when I started working and I decided to try it out, in fact, the very first day I did a 12 hours, I almost fainted. Like, I was just looking for water to drink, because it was unheard of. It was scary. At a point, it was as if my spirit was gone. My body was just walking up and down because I was tired. I was weak. My legs were paining me. My knees were hurting. I was hungry, but I didn't even have the appetite to eat. It was not even hunger that was doing me at that time. I was just thinking of so many things. I was just thinking, how long will I continue like this? How long will this, like, how on earth is it possible for someone to actually do a 14-hour shift? I don't get that. But that's the society we live in. That's one of the cons that comes with the job, or most of the jobs we do here. So these are kind of the things that break people down. And at the end of the day, they're like, no, I can't take it anymore. I'm done. I'm tired. I used to know a lady. She used to work with the NHS. And she did these shifts back to back. Like, she was always working and working and working and working and working. And at some point, she just told me, Adora, see, I'm done. I'd rather go and take a domestic job elsewhere and do a few hours and then go back home. And you're like, yes, I'm done. Than for me to take this kind of shifts that are driving me crazy. And I told her, but what about the pay? Like, because what do you do to cover up maybe like the shortages that come out from or maybe expenses you need to cover and all that? How do you make up the money and all that? She told me point blank, see, I'm not interested in any extra income or whatever I have to save. As long as I can pay my rent, I can pay the major bills, I can feed myself, my kids are happy, I'm fine. I can't kill myself. And do you blame her? No, I don't. I really don't. Because this life is not all about the money. You have to take care of your health. If you drop down tomorrow in the name of, working like a robot, work continues. That is just it. The next one is toxic environment. If you have worked in a toxic environment, in a toxic workplace, you understand where I'm coming from. Some kind of people around you just make you hate the job. Sometimes it's not about the job. It's not as if the job is bad or it's terrible. But the people you work with will either make or mar your experience in that workplace. Now, sometimes we come across some very nasty or silly employers. It's not even only the employees. It's not just your colleagues. Sometimes it could even be your employers. Either they're not being helpful. Maybe they're not being tolerant enough. It's either they're not being cooperative. There are lots of bosses or employers you work with, and they know next to nothing about the job. They're actually giving you the whole thing to do. Like, some of them don't even know what they're there for. Some don't even know what the job entails. All they know is just to come in the morning with their suits and tie or their high heels and walk around drinking tea or coffee while you are the one doing run up and down like a jockey trying to do the work. And even when you go to them for an advice, or you need support, or you need a word or two concerning the job you're doing, they are really not there to answer you, because they don't even know what to say. They have no idea. about the job. But you see, these kind of people are the ones that make you want to believe that if you don't take the job, a lot of people are out there, they're going to take it. So it's either you take the job or we get it, we get it sorted out somehow. But they have forgotten that that was in the past, not now anymore. These days, you don't threaten anybody with jobs. You do not threaten anybody with a job, because if the person leaves, definitely you're going to look for the person is getting to a better place. So it's not like your job now is so special that when the person does not come to work, oh, you will threaten the person with a sack letter. Employees now are threatening their employers with sack. So if you do anyhow, you will get anyhow. That is it for employers. And then when you now work with certain employees, your fellow colleagues, that maybe the ones that are too bossy, the ones that are too manipulative, the ones that are bullies. We have a lot of bullies in the workplace. So you have to take care of your mental health when you're working with certain people, because these kind of people will drive you crazy. Like, they just make you like hate the job. They make you not want to come to work. And you'll be surprised to know there are a lot of people that actually quit their jobs just because of the people they work with, the people around them, the toxicity of the job. They quit because they can't take it. They are after their mental health, which is, of course, very important. Number 5, people now know their worth. Gone are the days when people take any kind of job just because they want to survive. People just actually literally beg you to give them a job because, we have this to do, we have that to do. People actually know their worth. And, somehow, I think we're going to somehow give some kind of thanks to this COVID lockdown thing, because it actually opened a lot of people's eyes. It was during the lockdown people began to know that, wow, so if I could stay at home for this, all this while I haven't worked, I didn't die. Somehow they still got their bills sorted. Somehow, you must survive somehow. Somehow they still got their bills sorted. Somehow they still had their backs covered up. And you know what? A lot of people during the lockdown decided to experiment outside of their usual career. A lot of people began to start, doing some self-employment stuff. They started testing the waters, selling things, doing some self-employed businesses. And they began to see, wow, so I can actually make money from these little side hustles. Some people actually turned their side hustles to a main job now. Yeah, they took it from the side hustle level to the next level, and they're making money from it. Then they began to look at themselves and say, wow, so you mean I can actually do this on my own? I can actually be a boss of myself. I don't need to be bossed around by anybody. I don't need to be told. I don't need to be shouted at. Why didn't you come to work today? I don't need to be bossed around. I don't need to be manipulated. I don't need to be threatened with a sack letter and all that. I'm actually doing these things on my own, and I'm making a few pounds from it, and I'm happy, because that's what matters. Your happiness is priority, irrespective of what anybody tells you. So people are now beginning to know their worth. People are now beginning to say, oh, wow, this job I have held on to for 21 years, for 10 years, for 7 years, I have just been doing it because I needed to just get out of the house, or because I needed to pay some bills, or because I needed to exist or survive or whatever. But now I know that I have something greater in me. I have something that I can actually, do or, get hooked on, and I'm still happy with it. To hell with the job. And that's when people began to wake up. Now, I have a friend. This girl has always, she has been working with this certain company before I even came to the UK. She's been with this company before I came to the UK. And one of her reasons for sticking to this company is, number one, because the company is very close to her house. It's just a walking distance. About 5 minutes, she's at work. Number one. Number two, that is the first company she started working with when she came to the UK. So she was used to it. She felt comfortable there. She was in her comfort zone. So she didn't want to leave. She did not want to test something else. She was already used to the staff. She was already used to the work culture. She was already used to the processes. She was used to everything there. You can imagine. And then someone is asking you to leave. Of course, you might not want to leave. She was just okay. The pay wasn't very great, but she was just fine with where she was. And then came the lockdown. And this, my friend, discovered selling online. FBA, Amazon. She started selling things on Amazon. And during the first 3 months, my friend made some money. She buys things from China, and she sells them on Amazon. And like, it was like a joke. She made some money, and she just told me one day, see, she's making this amount of money. Is this how it works? And I told her, well, you're just starting. So it might not be much, but when you put in more effort, yeah, hopefully you get something out of it. And then she put in more effort, and she was selling, and in less than 5 months, the amount of money she got, like, she was shocked. She was actually surprised. She was like, wow, so I can actually do this. So this kind of things work. This kind of things, they move in the market. You can do this, you can buy, because she has never experienced any other side of making money. So she has not experienced any other side of making money. She has just been used to a particular way of doing things. She has always been a career person. Wake up, go to work. She's always worked for people. She has never really worked for herself. So when she made this money, although it was not like so much, but at least it was a great start. That was when she began to believe in herself. That was when she began to have confidence in herself, that wow, I can actually do this myself, so I can make money for myself by myself. Like, this one is not someone asking her, come and do this for the company, or come and do this for one boss. She now, at some point, like, it kind of gave her the urge to want to do more, because when she discovered that, wow, so this is me, something good can come out of my own hands for myself. So a lot of people are beginning to know where they actually stand, where they actually fit in all of these work things. Like, some people are, and you know what, like, I was discussing with someone one day, most people say, you've got to work, because if you work, at the end of the day, you get your pension. If you work, you can be able to, you can actually have access to get loan for mortgage, because they will honor you because you're working, or because you're a full-time staff, or because you're a permanent staff, and all of that. It might surprise you to know that not everybody is crazy about that mortgage thing. Not everybody is crazy about pension at the end of the day. Because while you are young, if you plan well for your future, you will definitely achieve it. If you start making efforts to put some things out for yourself, start making efforts to cater for your future. Start making efforts to put something. You don't necessarily have to depend on pension. Not everybody is like crazy about pension, and without not everybody. So because we are all structured wildly, we are all created differently. So some people might want to work because they like it, and then they want the benefit that comes with it at the end of the day, the pension thing. And some people are just like, you know what, I'm just okay being self-employed. It gives me my peace of mind. It gives me my authority over myself, over my time, and all that. It just depends on what you want. It depends on how your body can actually take it to. Number 6 is one very, very serious aspect that kind of drives me crazy. And this is the lack of empathy or lack of compassion from the bosses, from the employers, sorry. A lot of employers don't really care about you. You're just a number. Take it or leave it. You are just a number. Like, they don't even know if you are really existing there. The moment you drop off, someone else is taking your place. The moment you drop off due to maybe sickness or death or something happens to you, they're already placing a vacancy adverts for a new staff. So whether you are there or not, it does not. They're not interested. They don't care. And there are people that have worked with certain companies or organizations for a very long time, and they have never felt appreciated. They've never felt recognized. They've never felt, they felt they have always been taken for granted. So sometimes they just sit back and they ask themselves, so if in my absence, my employer can actually think he doesn't care about me, or he does not really know if I'm existing there, or I tell my employer I'm sick and he says, I'm sorry, you can't get a sick leave because you've gotten one before. So if I actually drop dead, does that mean that's the end of my life? It's not just the end of your life. It's the end of your work in that particular organization, because someone else is going to take over from where you stopped. There are stories about people who actually... Okay, let me just get back to this story I saw online some months back. It's about a lady, a girl. She lives in Leeds in UK here. I read about this story online. And then she was working for this particular organization. And one day, she was called from her child's school, her child's nursery, that her child was very sick. And then she she spoke to her manager that she had to leave work. She has to go and see her child and take the child to the GP because the child was very poorly. And guess what? The management said no, she cannot. They didn't allow her to go. So at the end of the day, she had to call her husband to go and see to things and all that. But imagine if this girl was a single mother, number one. She didn't have anybody to go and look after the child in her absence. Imagine if something happened and this girl was not able to go. How would she feel? She would definitely blame herself. She will feel like she's responsible for the child's death. Because of money, you could not see to your child that was very ill. And that was when she sat down and said to herself, you know what, I'm done with this job. And she decided to go self-employed because by so doing, she knew she now had time for her child, for her family, and for herself. So a lot of people are quitting because most of these employers don't give a damn about you. They do not care. As long as you're not there, to them, work still goes on. Life still goes on. But what about you that have actually dropped dead because of stress, because of the tension, because of the pressure from the job, because of so many things coupled together? And then when the person is no longer available, that you are not there does not mean that the work will not go on or that the company will shut off. No, it's not possible. The company will definitely go on. That the ball is now in your court to know how you have to do it or what do you have to do to make yourself comfortable first. I always tell people, put yourself first. Be selfish when it comes to your health. Be selfish when it comes to your comfort. Be selfish when it comes to your personal, your comfort, your peace of mind. Be very selfish about that. Do not trade it for anything. Do not trade it for any money. Don't trade it for any organization. Don't trade it for anything. Be very selfish about that because the moment you're gone, you are forgotten. Now, the last but not the least is tricky employers, tricky employment contracts. Now, sometimes you might be surprised to know that some employers will try to be sneaky. They try to work their way around what is not meant to be. You get an employment contract. Let's say you get this job and then you get the contract. You go through your contract and it's okay. It's appealing to you. It's what you would like to do during the job. It gives you a description of what the job entails, how many hours you're supposed to work, what your pay is supposed to be like and all that, and you're fine with it, you sign it, and you're good to go. And then at the end of the day, you discover that they start injecting some small clauses inside by the side, just some small, and you have to do this because this has to happen, and you have to do that because, and you're like, but I wasn't told this, or this is not part of my contract, this is not what I signed for. Me, personally, I left one of my previous workplaces because of this kind of reason. What happened then was that I actually signed up for night shifts. I've always done night shift because it's not as if night shift is a fantastic option for me. No, it's very stressful. You go to work at night, you come back the next day. No matter how long you try to sleep, you cannot catch up with what you have lost at night because I think sleeping in the daytime and sleeping at night, they are two different things. It's not just the same. At night, your body is structured to rest, to sleep, and then to work during the day. But here I am working at night, and then when I'm supposed to be up and about, and I'm trying to sleep. And then it's even worse when you have children. You come back, you can't sleep because the kids are there. You have to take care of them. You have to do this. You're distracted. The sleep is not coming. That's another story for another day. So I was told I actually chose to work during the night because that will enable me work around my family. And then I went to work that night, and the next morning I was just going through, the rota and everything. And a friend of mine, and one of my colleagues said, Dora, did you just see your name? They put your name for day shift. And I was like, what? Day what? And I went to look at the rota, and I was like, but I'm not a day staff. I don't work during the day. And as I was complaining, somebody else was complaining, why would they put me at night? Now I don't work at night, I work in the day. So it was like chaos everywhere. And I went to meet the manager and I said, I don't work during the day. I only do night. She said, I'm sorry, you have to do it because someone else called sick. And I said, and I told her, but that is not part of my agreement. I don't work during the day because it's not suitable for me. She said, I'm sorry, I have to do it. And at the point, it was as if we were almost arguing because I was telling her, listen, it's not possible. Before I even pick any shifts, I always try as much as possible to make sure that I have my back covered. Like, my kids are okay. It's my children first too. It's not about the money. My kids must be okay first. The family, it's not lacking in one way or the other. And I must be able to make sure that even if I am not at home, their dad is there. So now the dad also goes to work. Are you going to tell me that I will tell him to leave his job because I want to just go to work? That's selfish of me. But you know one thing, most of these workplaces, most of these bosses, managers and all that, they don't really care about all those excuses. So here I was arguing with this woman and she was telling me I have to go to work. I told her, I'm sorry, I can't. And it went back and forth, back and forth. And I eventually did not do that job. And I started hearing behind, she was telling some other people that I am not a team player, and say that's one thing about them. When you kind of standing for your rights, or when you are putting your feet down and saying, no, I don't want this, it's not suitable for me. They say you're not a team player, you are not cooperative, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, that's it. But I cannot inconvenience myself for things like that. So the other aspects which I really don't understand why it happens is the reduction of your salary, of your wages at the end of the day. I have never, in short, let me say, since I started working, I can't count how many times they have reduced my salary. Like, they will just take away some amount of pounds from it. Sometimes it could be very, very little, maybe like £5, £7, £10. I'll just overlook it. But sometimes it's as much as £40. There was even a particular month I went through my payslip, and you can imagine a whopping amount of £232 was gone. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So when I went to approach the management to explain what happened, they said, oh, okay, they're going to contact payroll. They actually asked me to contact payroll so that they will go over it and see what happened, where the mistake came from. And I'm like, can you just imagine? Am I supposed to be chasing payroll for my money again? Like, I've done the job. I should be able to be paid correctly. And even if there's any mistake somewhere, I shouldn't be the one chasing payroll up and down. You should take over. You should do it. So sometimes these are the kind of things that just makes you you're just tired. You just stressed out. The job, when you maybe, especially if it's a kind of job that is already stressing you, then plus your money is not coming again, which is one of the motivating factors, is not adding up again, and then telling you have to wait till the next month so that they will push the money to that pay, forgetting that you've already planned out how your month is supposed to be or what you intended to use the money for. These and many other things actually make people so tired of working and stressed out. And what, to hell with the job. I'm still going to survive no matter what happens anyway. So I think to an extent, the lockdown and the pandemic, whatever, generally opened people's eyes to know exactly what they've been doing, what they intend to do to make themselves happier. As long as they're happy, the workplace is happy. Thank you very much for watching. Stay blessed.